Yo, what's going on, guys? Man Search here. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be going over my $1,000 AMD gaming PC for 2016. These are personal preference, the parts that I picked out. And if there's anything that you guys would change up or do differently, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd like to know all you guys' ideas and what you guys would do for a $1,000 gaming PC. Maybe you guys would go with Intel, which could be a better idea, but I feel like you're getting more if you go with AMD due to how cheap the processors actually are, and for gaming it's not really going to kill your performance. So let's go ahead and look at everything that I chose, and I'll explain why I chose it. So first off, I started off by choosing the AMD FX 8350. This is currently what I run in my PC, but I figured go with the AMD FX 8350 because if we're going with an AMD build, at first I was thinking of going with the 95 something. I don't know what that processor is. It's like 250 bucks, but I didn't want to go with that because it's a little bit overkill for the gigahertz and the 8 core and the pricing. Whenever you can get the 8350 for $150 at 4 gigahertz, and you can get the 8370 for $190 to $200 for 4 gigahertz as well, and all of them are 8 core processors. So I think that if you overclock the 8350, you're going to get the best bang for your buck. So that's why I went with the AMD FX 8350 for this build. For the cooler, I just decided to go with the CM Hyper 212 Evo, just because it'll allow you to overclock, keep the temps cool, and it's not water cooling. I'm not a huge fan of water cooling because it could leak, it could break, and it could just completely trash your entire PC. As where if you go with the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo, you're going to get really good performance. You can always add extra fans, and you don't have to worry about leakage or damaging your entire PC. And it's still a really good cooler for overclocking. So moving on to the motherboard, I went with the Gigabyte GA990FXA UD3 ATX AM3 Plus motherboard. The reason I went with this was because it was 115 bucks. I could have went with Asus for a little bit more, and you still can go with Asus, but I figured this was really good. It's a really good motherboard for overclocking. It's not too expensive, and it's not all that cheap either. You have SLI support, Crossfire support. It supports DDR3 memory, which could be a disappointment for some of you guys. If you guys are looking for DDR4 memory, you can always change it up to an Asus motherboard that can support that, and it only costs you a few extra bucks. But DDR4 isn't all that popular, and most games aren't really taking advantage of it at this point. So DDR3 will be good for now. It is really good for overclocking as well, and overall just a solid motherboard for the price. As far as RAM goes, I went with the Kingston HyperX Fury Black 16GB 2x8GB DDR3 1866 memory. I figured it would be a little bit faster than 1600, and you're still getting 16GB of RAM, and HyperX isn't that bad of a company, so I figured why the hell not. Moving on to the hard drive, I went with the Seagate Barracuda 2TB hard drive, 7200 RPM, only for 65 bucks, which is a really good deal considering that 1 terabyte is 50 to 60 bucks. You're only spending that extra 15 bucks for 2 terabytes. So you could always go with 1 terabyte and then an SSD, or you could go with 2 terabyte and throw in an SSD if you're taking advantage of mail-in rebates, and still have the price come out to about $1,000, give or take a few. But that's all personal preference as well. Alright guys, this is where it's about to get revealed. Moving on to an AMD graphics card. I went with AMD because of course this is an AMD themed build, and there's nothing wrong with Nvidia, there's nothing wrong with that, but I figured if it's an AMD build, I might as well go with an AMD graphics card. I went with the MSI R9 390X. It's the comparison to the Nvidia 970 or even the 980. It compares with those, and it competes pretty well. I think that the performance is very well for gaming, and if you're looking to be a hardcore gamer, I'd recommend going with the R9 series rather than the GTX 900 series, but that's just my personal preference. I feel like you'll get a little bit more out of this graphics card, and it can definitely compete with the GTX 970 and 980. Moving on to the case, I went to the NZ XD S340 black and red. ATX mid-tower case. The reason I went with this is just so the black and red case can complement AMD's colors and the color scheme that we're going with for this build. Plus, NZXT makes some really, really nice cases, so I figured it'd be a really good idea. And for only 64 bucks, you're getting a pretty good deal there. And last but not least, we're going to go with an EVGA Supernova 650 watt 80 plus gold certified fully modular power supply. The reason we would go with this is because 650 watts is going to be perfect for our build. It's gonna support it perfectly. It's not gonna be able to support SLI or Crossfire due to the fact that we're running a R9 390X and an 8350. However, you don't really need to Crossfire those, and if you do, you can always upgrade the power supply to a 750 watt or even an 850 watt or an 800, whatever there is. You guys can always upgrade to that. But modular, it allows you to get rid of the cables you don't need, makes for really clean cable management, and you're really going to need that if you're going with the see-through NZXT case. So that's all for this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Total comes out to about $999 without rebates and $950 with rebates, which you can always add in a SSD. You could always change some things up if you wanted to, if you were going to take advantage of the rebates, and if not, this is perfect price range for you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. It's been Surge. Catch you guys in my next video, and I'm out of you guys. Peace.